Hi, my name is Rosetta, and this is my review of Starhammer the Vanguard Prophecy for the Xbox One. This review is in partnership with BigBossBattle.com, and they provide me the code from developer Black Lab Games. Now, with all my reviews, they are 100% my own opinion, and I'm not being paid for this. I'm just reviewing the game as I see fit. Right, the game. Well, this is a turn-based tactical combat game, and it's almost like a chessboard, a fully 3D chessboard, and you can adjust the camera view to your liking. The combat also isn't set on just one plane. You can fly above or below your enemies, which helps you engage in dogfights from small craft to dead draws. Right, well, let's see about the story. Well, the story is basically we are set in the 22nd century. Now, Earth is dying, so to combat this, they've sent out a frontier colony to find a new planet. Well, they do find a new planet, and guess what? That's right, they find aliens. Now, of course, aliens and humans don't always get on, and a war starts. Well, this is not where the story starts. This starts 14 years after the very first war, and the leaders are entangled with their own war in a political level. Anyway, this is where it comes in. You assume the role of Valorant Dice, and in your journey, you roughly have a large selection of about 60 missions to choose from, but they're branching depending on which choice you make. You can either go for a more aggressive route, or you can go off a more defensive route. And depending on this route, you'll get to choose different missions depending on what choices you make and whether or not you win. Now, the interactions with other fleet personnel and command officers is all text-based, and some of the language has quite wording and phrasing, which I quite like, to be honest with you, such as Finnegan and mucking around, which is basically good old English. I quite like that sort of thing. The game itself, I was told, was more like space chess with bigger battles and more explosions, and for me that kind of sold it, so I look quite forward to this. However, I will note that this has been ported from the PC, and so I was quite hesitant on how the controls would work, and also if the graphics wouldn't take a knock on. And this brings me on to the gameplay. Now, you start off with a flagship, and as you progress through the missions you get more and more fleet. But that fleet and the flagship isn't the only thing you can actually control. You actually get crew members for these flagships. Now, these crew members have basically what I class as defensive or positive stats, and depending on how well they like each other, can give you bonuses to shields or weapons, and in some cases even the entire fleet. So these also get built up on as you progress, and you get more and more crew members, and you need to kind of basically balance them to provide the best outlook before you start a battle. Now, the controls of this, as I mentioned, this was ported from the PC, and I was a bit hesitant on how well the PC controls could be transported over into the Xbox. Well, rest assured, it is done fantastically. They have really worked around it. Button clicks are really easy. Navigating the sub-menus and mini-menus to try and change power to, say, your shields, or change little tactics in terms of auto-fire, missiles, even to selecting your target is nice and simple with a click. The only thing, and this is a bugbear of mine, the only thing I didn't like in terms of controls was that you couldn't adjust them to suit what you wanted. For instance, left trigger is zoom in, and right trigger is zoom out. Now, I'd like to swap that around, that's just me, but you can't do that. There is no option for that. Another thing on this is the actual speed of the game. It's not a fast game. You basically have a small amount of time to watch the battle progress. You move it around to suit where you're going to be. You make adjustments in terms of the ships, where they're going to position, what they're going to fire at, and whether they need to basically raise shields and certain things in terms of flanking. This is a slow, methodical game, so if you're expecting this to be an all-out war fest, this isn't for you. This is a slow, well-precise game, and one that I was very surprised about. Overall, this was a surprise for me. There is a lot more content here than I originally thought, and the AI in here is really wily. One thing I was very surprised was how clever they would react to where you're firing or what you're doing, and this was a real challenge at some points to try and actually complete the mission. And this leads me on to the graphics. Now, whilst they're not groundbreaking, they are beautiful and they have been done very, very well. The backgrounds are a wash of nebulas and meteors. The smoke trails are beautiful to see when you fire off a missile. Ships that have got damage will leave little fires, little sparks and smoke trails as they just try to get away. When you zoom in to the actual ship, you can see there's quite a lot of detail that has been put in there. And it's only when you really zoom into the very core of the bulkhead that you'll start to see pixelation. But to be honest with you, that's a minor bugbear, because most of the time you'll see right here, this is the view you'll be looking at, and it is crisp, clear and beautiful. What I can say about this game is it's sharp, clear, crisp, and to be honest with you, you can't really argue for this. From the distance, when you're having 5 hours in there, it does its job, and it does its job really well. And this leads me on to the sound of the game. There is one thing about this game: there is no voice acting. But when you're piloting your dreadnought and aiming for a Krill's shields, trying to make sure it take it down in one shot, you don't actually kind of miss that. Everything is nice and crisp. The orchestral tracks in here do pump you up and get you going and move you forward, but it's not too loud to distract you from what you're doing. The lasers, missiles and explosions are perfect, and in some way, I hesitate to say this, but kind of have a slight Battlefront-esque to them, which is by no means a bad thing. It works perfectly for the game in question. The little button presses and little boops left, right and centre work well as well. Overall, the music, FX and sound for this has been done correctly and right for the game. And this brings me on to the rating of the game. Now, I rate games in order of avoid, rent, great purchase and must own. In my opinion, for this game, it is a great purchase. Some will not like the fact that it has no co-op or multiplayer and that it is a slow tactical element to it. However, like me, if you want to sit back and plan carefully which ship you're going to explode, this is it. It has over 60 missions, which you will not be able to complete in one sitting, so there is replay value there. It has quite a lot of achievements which aren't easily to achieve, and also the price tag is about £16. Overall, this is a great little goodbye if you wish to try and look into a tactical based session, or if you just want to have a game to sit back and enjoy watching things explode.